All right, the slip stitch. This is to sew down a folded edge of fabric, whether it's a hem or a bias binding, and the purpose is to make it invisible to any onlooker. The outside of the garment should not show this stitch. The majority of the stitch lives in the tunnel of the fabric fold. So on your sample specifically, you should have a piece of fabric like this, and it should be folded so you have a tunnel to work in, and then pinned to your sample. Definitely straight pin your pieces in place. It's going to help them not move around and it'll be easier on you. So this is what our slip stitch should look like. I'm starting by locking my thread in with a back tack. Now, I want to enter into that tunnel. I'm not passing through both layers. I'm going to the inside of that fold. And I want to travel in it just a 1/4 of an inch. Obviously, your stitch length can vary depending on how strong you need it to be, what you're working on, your material, your fabrication, right? But typically you want it to be around a 1/4 of an inch. This is how I want to see your samples too. I don't want really long stitches. That means you're not getting enough practice, and that's not how we're going to actually be using it. So I want you to do the smaller stitch, practice the right way. So I traveled through that tunnel there. You should be able to see your thread inside that fold. See where I traveled inside the tunnel? And I came back out of the fold. And now to secure this section, this piece, to the base garment, I need to pick up a couple threads of the base garment. Just a little bit. See how I'm only getting like 2 or 3 yarns of the fabric here. And you do it right at the spot that you came out of the tunnel. Now I want to go back in and travel through the tunnel for that 1/4 of an inch. I'm entering the tunnel right where I made that stitch, really close to the area where I came out of the tunnel. So it's just like you're traveling through the tunnel of the fold, you're popping out for a second to pick up some of these yarns, and then you're entering right back in sort of the same spot to travel through the tunnel. So I picked up some of the base garment. Now I'm going to go back in the tunnel, travel for about a 1/4 of an inch. Fixing my threads because the loop. So I came back out of the tunnel, pick up a few yarns of my fabric from my base of my garment, this side. Now I enter right in that same area, travel through the tunnel, came out, pick up a few from your base garment, enter in that same area, travel through the tunnel, come out, and secure it to the base garment. Now see how consistent that is? I should be able to see that same consistency in your work. Take your time. If it doesn't come out right the first time, do another one, practice again. Take this out and do it over. Now with your sample, you should show me 2 pictures. The instructions asks for 2 pictures. I want you, after you finish the entire length of your sample, I want you to give me a picture straight on, like this, And then I want a picture with this lifted up so I can see what's happening in there. That's your slip stitch.